over here is your editor. Okay, so this is fairly straightforward. You can insert specific things. These are the most common. You can insert like um, little things that they've already put together, right? So this is like an image box next to some text, right? And this is actually two text boxes, like a little like title and some smaller text. So if I click on it, it'll add it down here. I think I can also drag it. Yeah, I can also drag it to a specific area. So when I click on these, it'll automatically add it to the bottom. If I drag, then I can instead put it in a specific area, right? If I drag it to the bottom and it's not exactly where I want to go, or I click and it goes to the bottom and it's not where I want to go, or I drag and I miss, I can change it by dragging these little things. Depending on the size of your screen and everything else, that can be a little difficult at times, but it does work. So here we can see this one that I chose. We've got two placeholders here to add images. If I click, I can either upload, I can grab one from my Google Drive, I can select an image. Select an image means it will either look in my Google Drive already, or I can do like a Google image search, or I can do by URL, etc. Google image search should only bring up photos that have been marked as okay to use, right? Like someone has said like, I don't mind other people using my photo, right? It shouldn't bring up ones that that would like be an issue with copyright infringement. Now, Google doesn't necessarily know what's in that image. They just know that someone marked it as it's okay. If someone uploaded an image of something they don't own and they marked it as okay, that could still be a copyright issue, right? If I type Mickey Mouse and I find like some random person has uploaded a photo of Mickey Mouse and they're like, oh, cool, you can use this for free. Like, well, they don't own Mickey Mouse. So Disney could still like email me and be like, hey, you need to take this down or we're going to contact our lawyers and then I should take it down, to not get sued. So just be aware that even though this should only bring up things that are okay, still like use a little bit of common sense, right? Like if that is a thing that is copyrighted, because it's widely used and everything, that might not be an authentically okay to use one. You have more options down here. Some of these are pretty cool, right? You have an image carousel where you can click through and see different images, table of contents, which this would allow you to link to other parts on the page, collapsible text where they can click on it and will show more. So some of these are pretty cool, and you can try these out if you want. And then you have pages, right? So right now this comes with 3 pages: the home page, the about page, and I can just click on it to go see it, and the project page. Okay. All of these are editable. I can go in and I can modify any of these. Now some of these already have pictures here. If I click on this picture, I can delete it. I can also replace it, right? So that can be pretty useful. A lot of times what I'll do is instead of recreating everything all the time, like that's a lot of work, like let's say that I want like another chunk of these and I want the photos to be exactly the same size. I don't want to like add in new photos from here and try to like get them the exact same size because like that's going to take time, and also like I'll probably get it wrong. Like even if I really try, like how am I going to get exactly the same number of pixels? Like it's really hard to get it exactly the same. I can just go over here and I can duplicate it. And now I know they're the same. And then I can just go in and replace the images. So like, work smarter, not harder. Or well, I mean work hard, but like don't work hard at like things that like are inefficient, right? Like use that hard work as efficiently as possible. Speaking of over here, not only do I have duplicate and trash, I've also got these little color options, which allow me to change the background color. So I can add for emphasis, I can add for other emphasis, and I can also add in a background image. They do limit how much you change on these because they don't want their sites looking like crazy and really tacky like a lot of websites did when the internet was new. So they do limit your choices, but there are ways around that if you're really determined to do something different. Going back to pages over here, what's up here is based directly on what's in here. So if I duplicate this, and I just click this, right, and I can duplicate, I can press done. Now I'm going to get another one, right? So anything in here will automatically go into the menu up there, and that's pretty cool. If I double click, I can rename. So maybe this is like, I don't know, contact me, right? And then it will automatically update here as well. Additionally, I can have pages underneath other pages. So like if these are projects, and this is like my, let's see, let's make a duplicate, and I want to call this maybe video game project or something like that, right? It's going to make a duplicate and it's going to put it up here, but then I can grab this, I can click and hold, and I can move it inside of projects. And now I've got that underneath projects. This can make a rather long and difficult like series of menus if I have lots of things underneath other things, right? Because now this is here and that's there, right? What I can also do is I can say like I don't want this in the menu, and now it won't be there. So you can also control how much is in the menu by hiding certain things from navigation. And you've also got properties in here too, and you can add a sub page, right? Adding a sub page will basically create a brand new page, just like clicking down here. But instead of having it on the top level in this menu, it's going to automatically put it inside of here, right? I don't do a lot of adding new pages because the page is blank, right? And like, that's fine. But for me, it's easier to often duplicate a page and then modify it, which also makes it look more stylistically the same as the rest of my pages than to start from scratch and then having to like recreate everything. To me, that's just not efficient. So let's see, let's move this back out, right? Let's say that I want this to show navigation again, right? And there we go. If I want to change the orders of these, that's fine too. I can just click and grab that chunk and move it, and it will change up here as well. So there's a lot of really cool things you can do with that. Now, if I don't like this color scheme, I can make some modifications over here in themes. This will change the overall style. Let's actually go back to, which one am I on? Okay, I'm on home. This will change the overall style, right? Inside of these, I also have a few other choices. I can change, like, let's go back to Diplomat here. I can change the font style, and I can also change like the key colors, right? So sort of what it does is it gives you a limited color selection and it only changes something, so that way you do have sort of a main color which helps it look sort of organized and together. You can customize this as well, right? So I could say like I want like a bright orange, right? And then I click off. Okay, so and now somewhere on here, hopefully, I might be able to find that bright orange. It might be under here. There we go. Now what it tries to do is it also tries to make sure that things are legible. Like this is not a very good orange because whether it chooses white or black, legibility isn't great because this is sort of a mid color. So if I make this brighter, then that starts to work a little bit better for readability, right? And maybe I need to make this a little bit brighter color in general too, right? And so that helps a little bit. It's still not a great color choice, but you get the idea. Now on the other hand, if I make it very dark, this color will automatically change to a lighter color to try to make it easier to read. So Google is looking at what you're doing and they're trying to make sure that your site is legible and usable. Let's see, there's one more thing in here that this one doesn't show. So a lot of times you often have a banner at the top, and here we don't. So I could add a header, and then I can change the image of the header. I can change the header type, which could be a huge one or only a title. And this header should be on every page. So if I switch to my About page, oh, it didn't do the header. Okay, so headers aren't automatically on every page. You can decide if you want the header to be there or not, right? So that's something to be aware of. I thought they had changed that. I guess they didn't. There is also a footer on the bottom. The footer is on every page. I am aware of that. So let's say here I want to say like copyright 2020 Mr. Wegs or whatever, all rights reserved, or you know, whatever that language is, and I can say I want it to be centered, right? And then I've got some other options here in the text too, like I can bold or italicize, I can add links, I can, you know, do some of this stuff. So there's a lot of like things that you can do in here. You can add code, right? So this isn't actually code. Like it's not gonna run the code, but it will make it look like code, right? Like it's this little like style that looks more like code. Then people are like, oh, that's, you know, I recognize that that's whatever. So there's some cool options there too. And this will be on every page. Watch. This time I'm correct. Told you. See, so the footer is on every page. The header, You can add it to pages, but you have to choose to add it to pages. That's okay. Now, if I duplicate this, the new duplication will have that header because I've duplicated it, right? And yeah, here it is. So maybe this is more info. Now notice I changed more info here, but it didn't change here, right? So this does not relate directly to that. I can put whatever I want here on this header, but it does change up here. So just some things to be aware of. So this is a super easy way to make sites. It's pretty cool. You can add videos. You can do lots of stuff. You can also embed things from your Google Drive. So like if I go here to Drive, I could add something like a PowerPoint, well, a Google slide presentation. I can add a PDF. There's lots of different things that I can add. So that's pretty cool. Now, something to be aware of, if your document that you're adding is set to private or it's only viewable by certain people you've invited, they won't be able to see it here. It'll still load a box for it, but it'll say like they don't have access or something like that, right? So just be mindful that anything that you want people to see on there, that you actually have the correct settings. Now, on the other hand, that can be good too, because you could have your site, and then if you have some areas that are like private, right, that you don't want just anyone in the public to see, you could have those only shared to, like, you know, the person you've emailed that you're interested in getting a job from, or, you know, the family member that you've created this for that you want them to be able to see it, but you don't want everyone to be able to see it. So you can use that to your advantage. You just might want to put a little like piece of text on that page to sort of say like, you know, this project is private and only viewable to, you know, people involved in the project or whatever, right? So that way people know that it was intentional and it wasn't like an error on your part. All right. So that's the general overview of Google Sites. I do want you to play with it some and make some, right? If I go back to this one, you can see I've started creating my own, right? I've got home, about, art and design, education, etc. Right? So I want you to make some pages and kind of choose your categories. I'll tell you which things I want on yours, but you can add more stuff if you want, right? So this could be a portfolio for all of your classes, or if you want, it could be just for this one. That's up to you. If you make it for all of your classes, no problem. Just inside of the one for this class, I'll tell you some different things that I want in here, right? So I'll list that on the assignments.